fastest? Make we chat about it. Who run next? Make we chat about it. Track and field are the topic. Oh, make we chat about it. Latest news. Make we chat about it. All your views. Make we chat about it.
Track and field chat for say. With the girl HP.
Hello, 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 hello. It is good evening. It is another Thursday, and yes, I am back here and I am back in my comfort zone. And when I say my comfort zone, those of you who know me by now know that I love my favorite part of this program is talking to my athlete. Yes, I love to have conversations with my athlete. I love to talk to the athletes, hear their story, share their story with you. And wherever you're coming from tonight, welcome, welcome to HP Chat Track. Welcome, whether you're coming from Africa, North America, South America, Europe, wherever you are coming from in the world, Antarctica, Oceanic, wherever you're coming from, welcome, welcome to tonight's show. And of course, tonight's show is all about the athletes. You know me already. For me, it is all about the athletes. But before I go any further, guys, please remember to subscribe to the program, subscribe to the Jamaica Track and Field Legacy. Yes, I don't say that enough. So I was reminded to say it. Please subscribe to the program. And of course, I'm excited because tonight's guest is, let me give you guys some clues. I don't know if you'll be able to guess, but this person is an Olympian. She has competed internationally for 3 powerhouse countries in track and field. Of course, she is a Jamaican first. And now I am going to bring in my guest because you're not able to tell me who she is. So I am going to bring her in right now. And here she is, guys. Here she is on the screen. My guest tonight is she's known to Jamaica. And when she was competing, she was known as Miss YVONNE Saunders. And of course, if you don't know this name in track and field, you are too young. But Miss YVONNE, welcome. How are you? If you notice, I'm just here. I'm rambling because I'm always looking forward to talk to the athletes. I'm always excited. Welcome, Olympian. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I am doing great. Thank you.
Great, lovely, lovely. And just to break the ice and to start the show quickly, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into your story because we have a lot to talk about. You competed for 3 countries. You faced racism, all of those things, and we're going to talk a little bit about them. But just tell me a little bit about YVONNE Saunders as a little girl. Who was YVONNE as a little girl? Which parish you hail from? Just tell us a little bit about your baby childhood.
Well, I was born in Jamaica, of course, and born in Taymount, which is the country. At the time, I have no idea what it's like now. I spent most of my childhood days, or some of them, in Orange River. And then when I was about 7, I moved to Maypen and spent time with my aunt because my parents had moved to England. That in the early 50s, those were the days when, there was an exodus of Caribbean people who went to England for a better life. And so I lived in England from the time I was 9 years old. Time has flown
But
rather.
before we get to England, you said you were born in Taymount.
Yes.
Where exactly is that place? I've never heard of it before. Which
Clarendon,
parish?
I have no
Oh, it's in
idea.
Clarendon.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely Clarendon. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you were born in Jamaica, but you migrated to England very, very early, even before you started high school.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I was
Tell me,
9 years old.
9 years old. Wow. Tell me a little bit about being a little girl in Jamaica and a little girl in England. What was that like for you? What was the culture difference like?
Big culture shock because in those days the English were not really used to seeing Black people. And throughout my schooling from secondary school or primary school up till what we called high school, then it was really bad. We were called gullywogs, darkies. And there were times when we'd be walking on the street and people would be jumping up and making monkey signs, at us. Or if we're walking towards them, they would run on the other side of the road.
Golly
That was
what?
gollywogs. They're
Wha-
like
wha-
minstrels, little black dolls with white lips. That's what they called gollywogs in England. They'd be called minstrels in in.
And they would associate Black people with.
Yeah, yeah. That's what they did. We grew up with that, even in school. And what we call secondary school there, I went to an all-girls school, 410 girls. And during gym, the kids were intrigued because they wanted to know how we kept our tails under our uniforms. So
What?
when we're, I kid you not, I can't even talk about all the things that I experienced. You would be shocked. They just wanted to know because we had tails and then we lived in, we wore grass skirts. It was just one of those horrible things that you went through. And I think going through that made me who I am now, tough and, and accepting other cultures. We were not as ignorant coming from Jamaica. And so I
Wow.
remember at my secondary school, because they thought we ate all kinds of weird things. Um, so what I started there was in home ec. I had a few of the students gather together and we all cooked West Indian food, laid a spread for the teachers and have them come and eat. And yeah, they lick their fingers all right.
Wow, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go any further, let us just say welcome to each and everyone who is already a part of our discussion. Olympian Vilma Charlton, she is on already. She says, hello, Yvonne. Long time no see. I've always asked Audrey Reed about you. Miss Vilma Charlton would have been on the 1972 Olympic team with you. There's also Ruth Williams Simpson. She's
Oh,
saying, hello, Yvonne. Good to hear your voice. Ruth would have also been on that 1972 Olympic team with you. There's
right.
also a lady by the name of Akeelia Morel. She said, Mommy. She said, Mommy. There's also Tarika Haynes. She's saying, Mighty woman of God running for the Lord. Welcome, each and everyone. Awesome,
Welcome,
awesome,
welcome. Thank you.
awesome. Awesome. But going back to England, Miss Yvonne, as a child, how was your parents, how was your mother able to protect you and to guard you mentally with, all of you experiences racism at such a young age?
Well, it was also hard for my parents because when they moved, they lived in a one-bedroom home and that was it. And they shared bathrooms and with everyone. They had their stove in their room and they experienced racism beyond it. Every time I tell this story, um, people are just amazed. But my dad was telling me that a friend of his was invited to an English person's home. And when he got there, the lazy boy was stacked with cushions. And the host told him, this chair is for you, because we don't want you to hurt your tail. And they were serious. They were so genuine. So they go through it. But my parents were not as assertive as we were. I'm the oldest of six. And as Jamaicans, you know very well, wherever we go, we make a mark, whether good or bad. And I
Indeed.
believe it's mostly good. And so um, we're resilient. We're resilient. And I had a few Jamaican friends that went to the same school as I did. And the good thing was the headmistress of that school was amazing. And I think most of the positive things and how we endured the racism and the little things was because of her. She was about maybe 4'11", Jewish, strong, strict, and she would not tolerate any of that kind of things in the class, in the school.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Your track and field talent was discovered while attending Gross Park High School in what is this, Stretchford, Manchester.
Stretford,
Tell me a little
you
bit
found
about
that?
how
Oh
you
my goodness.
tell
Gorse
me how,
Park
yes, I
Secondary
went.
School.
Yes, I went and did my homework. Tell me a little tell me a little bit about how you were discovered as a track and field star.
Well, it was play day where, you could do whatever. And I and some friends and I were playing, and we had this thing where we would throw a tennis ball up in the air as high as we could. And, whoever catches it, we get it. So one day it was thrown up, and I can remember so clearly this school high jump champion was out practicing high jump. And in those days, folks, there was no nice foam at the time to land in. It was sand. Trust me, sand. That's how they landed. And so in the playground, there were mats. And I remember I was running for the ball. I saw this bar ahead of me, and instead of running around it, I ran, just jumped over it and continued to get the ball. And the gym teacher saw that. And from that day, she got hold of me, she saw potential, and she used to take me to the track during lunch hour. And she started to coach me. I started out as a high jumper, and that was the beginning.
That was the beginning of a great things.
A great thing. That woman was amazing. She really put a lot of the values in me, and you know, taught me how to have respect and tough. She was a gym teacher, but she set me up in a club, athletic club, and that's how I started. I started out. I actually did the pentathlon in those days, 5 events.
I know. I saw it in my research.
But I was so small, in shot put and all that, but that was my worst event.
While you were in England doing great things, back in Jamaica, we had what you call champs now, but girls champs started 1958. You would have migrated before you were even eligible to compete at the girls champs, because girls champs started 1958. You were barely 5 or 6, so you would not have been a part of. Were you aware of this championship that was happening in Jamaica at the high school level?
I had no idea. I would have been 7 then. I have no idea about that. None. And I didn't know the importance of schools, how valuable it was to the islands, because that's where a lot of people were recruited from. Had no idea. But in England, we had English schools championship, which was huge. And that is where England, Scotland, Wales,
Mm-hmm.
Ireland, I think those 4, all the schools in that area met, and we had the English schools championship. And I remember going there. I was probably about 15, and I went in high jump. And in 2 years in a row, I won that until I graduated from school. So it was a huge thing, but no one scouted.
Wow.
No,
In
no
in
one stopped.
Jamaica, it is a big thing. But before we go any further, let us just say welcome once more to each and everyone who have joined us. Another Olympian that has joined us is Etlyn Tate. I don't know if you know the name Etlyn, but Etlyn Tate is also another of Jamaica's outstanding Olympian, a former very technical high school standout. And of course, we also have Faint Adams, who is saying, love this lady. Hey, Ma. So it seems as if you have a lot of children on here tonight.
Yes.
Also, we have Dr. Jessica Chung. She's saying, loves you and miss seeing you running in church, Sister Yvonne. So I'm learning a lot about you tonight. And
Yes. Yes.
my guest tonight is Yvonne Saunders, Jamaican Olympian, and two other countries that I have not told you about that she has competed for. And of course, she's here to share her story with us tonight. Yvonne, you competed at your first Olympic Games, 1972, in Germany, the Olympic Games that was in Germany. Do you remember, do you have any recollection of your emotions when you discovered that you were going to the Olympic Games in 1972 for Jamaica?
I was so naive. As a matter of fact, just to backtrack, I could have represented Great Britain in the 1968 Olympics. We had just moved to Canada, and I remember getting a package from the British Olympic Association, and it was loaded with vitamins and all these things and instructions. And I just go, I didn't tell my parents. I was just so naive as to all that stuff. But come 1972, I was so excited about being on the Olympic team, even if I for Jamaica, and I didn't know what to expect. I never really thought I was that good. I ran, but so does everyone else. So it was until I went to Munich, I
Mm-hmm.
understood the magnitude of that whole event.
Yes,
And
ma'am. It was 1972. So what
72,
was
sorry.
1972? Yes. So what was your reaction like, your emotions, knowing that even though you lived abroad, you were still able to represent your country at the highest level? What was it like when you met up with these people and know that they are from the Jamaican team?
It was amazing. That was not my first encounter because I represented Jamaica in this
1971.
1970 Commonwealth Games in
Mm-hmm.
Edinburgh. I think I represented Jamaica. I can't remember dates, but I know definitely 1971
Mm-hmm.
Cali, Colombia.
Yes.
I competed. And was it 71 or 72?
It was
71.
1971. Let me tell you because I have all your data right here. I have
Can't
everything.
remember.
Yes, in 19 and this is something I love to share with the audience. But yes, in 1971, you represented Jamaica at the Pan Am Games where you won two medals. And 1971, you also went to the CAC Games for
That's
Jamaica, where you won bronze. No, I'm not even going to share all of that info yet. I'm going to leave it later. But yes, in 1971, you did compete for Jamaica.
Yeah. I'm so bad with dates. Like I said, I packed away so many things. All my information is in the garage.
Don't worry, I am here to help you. I have all your data. I have everything on you. Um, in the new age right now, athletes train and compete a lot during a season. They train and they compete simultaneously leading up to the national trials where they are selected to represent the country. What was a routine like for you back in the 70s when you were now 18 and older and you were actually at the pro level?
Routine, nine to
Mm.
five work. And then from work, there is practice, and we'll do anywhere up to 4 hours. Go home, eat, go to bed, wake up 9 to 5, practice. That was the routine.
You had to work 9 to 5,
Yep.
then go to training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And
Yep.
that story continues.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my
So
word. So what was it like for you? How difficult was it to do a 9 to 5 job, then leave, go to training, get yourself ready, for championship, especially the Olympics, which was at the highest level?
it was a way of life. I didn't know anything else. I really didn't. I didn't know, that there was such a thing as just wake up when you feel like it and then train twice a day, 3 times a day. I don't know. I had no idea about that. I just know that we had to work.
Wow. Indeed, indeed. The 1972 Olympics, there were a lot of drama, casualties, people died, terrorists broke into the Olympic Village, and athletes and coaches were killed from Israel, I think. Can you recall any of those memories?
I sure can. I remember back in the day, the village was split in two: men's quarters, women's quarters, and you couldn't go over to any. Men couldn't go to the ladies' quarters, but the ladies could go there because the cafeteria, everything was there. But we all had to show badges and IDs to get there. I remember the morning I woke up and was headed to the cafeteria for breakfast, and everything was just dead, quiet, solemn. And um, asked, what's going on? And I heard that so and so people escaped and came over into the men's quarter, and people were killed. And we didn't know the full information at the time, but we froze. We froze. I think Audrey was with me when we went for breakfast, and we just, it was just unbelievable because we had never experienced anything like that before. And it just brings chill even to this day. As a matter of fact, it doesn't leave you. When 9/11 happened, I was out for a run and I came in, the news was on. And when I heard terrorist and I saw what was happening, I had flashback of Munich. It was just horrible. And we saw helicopters coming down from the village, landing, and whatever negotiations were happening. We heard they had underground tunnels in the village. We heard all that, and it's so creepy. It's so creepy.
How were
And
you and your teammates able to regroup and continue on the job that you were there to do? Because I get to understand that the Olympic Games continued.
it did continue, and for me, the day before that, I ran the semifinals in the 400, and I came, I think, fourth or fifth. Fifth. I lost the finals by, I think, 1/100th of a second. And I was really, it was such a downer for me that day. And then waking up to hear that this has happened, it was devastating. And
Wow.
you can't forget that. You cannot forget that. And
In,
sometimes if think about it, it just becomes real again. But it's always in the back of your mind as to what happened. We were right there.
wow, that must have been an experience. Before we go any further, we have some more people who join us. They just keep coming. Vivian Collins is saying, loving this interview. Yvonne from Vivian Collins, love you. And there's also Dorothy Scott, genius. I don't know if you know Dorothy Scott. Dorothy Scott would have come on board as an Olympian after you. She too is another very technical standout. She's saying, hello, everyone. Hi, Yvonne. I've never met you, but I have heard so much about you. And Ruth Williams Simpson, who was also on that 1972 team with you, she's saying in the 70s, we all work 9 to 5, practice after work, and raise a family. Wow.
Yep, yep.
Wow.
I didn't start a family until oh no, I was still running, I believe, when I had Akila. Yes, I was, because the other athletes used to take care of her while I ran on the court, because my husband,
Wow.
he was working and working on his PhD at the same time, so he wasn't at every meet that I was at, but she was raised by athletes, and some of them shamefacedly would take her snacks and eat it, you
Wow,
know.
I'm getting chills just by you saying the athletes would have raised your child while you were practicing. It takes a village.
It
It takes
takes a village.
it
Yeah,
takes a
we were
village.
close. We were close.
I like that.
We were not scattered, because I'm not really knocking what's happening today with athletes. This is a business, because when you look at football, soccer, all these other sports, I couldn't understand why we were amateurs. And even at the time of being called amateurs, there were athletes who were making money. Definitely not as much as they were
Hmm.
making today. But it was shame on our generation for being so naive and quiet.
Yeah,
I say hats off to today's generation, who will not settle for what they think they're worth.
indeed.
And that's what we did. We were really exploited, if you look at it the right way. And some people would make money off the athletes, especially if, certain status. You go to meets and you negotiate, well, if this person is going, then how about, we let three others go. And there was money involved. We're not stupid. We just did not think that we should have asked.
Indeed, indeed, you are totally right. Here we have Patricia Hall. Patricia Hall is saying, "Hello, I'm thrilled by your story. Thank you for setting the pace." And she too is also a very technical standout and a Jamaican athlete that we will hear from also in another couple of weeks. So, very technical is really out tonight. They're always here anyway, but thank you guys for sharing. Miss Yvonne, 1976 came. 4 years later, you would have competed for Jamaica at the Olympic Games 1972. 4 years later, you were back on the Olympic train, but this time you were on the Olympic train for Canada. How how was that switch? Why? What influenced that switch?
Well, there were some issues in those days. I wasn't living in Jamaica. I don't know how that changed the fact that I am Jamaican. And so the reception for foreign athletes, we were called foreign based. Okay, whenever we went to Jamaica, that's how we were addressed, as foreign based athletes. And as far as support was concerned, did not, we did not get any support. And so here I am living in Canada at the time, and to compete for Jamaica when my coach was putting everything into training, and he was not getting paid. We didn't know coaches get paid. And so it just did not make sense. I had to think of me, how far do I want to go? And I actually left in 1973 or 72, 74, because 73 or 4, because I ran in Christchurch in the Commonwealth Games.
Yes, you did.
And I was asked when I won the 400 there, I was in tears, and they would ask me, well, who were you crying for not running for Jamaica, or because you were happy? And it was a bittersweet moment because it could have been for Jamaica, but I just had to make a decision for my personal development. You know, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, but
I feel you, and I've heard it from other athletes. And what you said it correctly. We have this thing where if our athletes are not trained in Jamaica, we have this thing to align them with foreign, instead of accepting them that they are Jamaicans just the same and they're entitled to the same resources that the local based athletes are entitled to. We call them foreign based, because in an interview maybe a month or two ago with one of our Olympian, Tana Lawrence, I can call her name because it's on record. She basically said the same thing. She realized that Jamaica is now opening up to athletes who train abroad or who migrated early but still want to compete for the country. So the country is now starting to open up to those athletes. But you're right, you're not wrong. But let me ask you this. What was the mood like for you? And we're still at the 1976 Olympic Games. What was the mood like for you when you went to the 1976 Olympic Games and you saw teammates that you were on the 1972 team with? I'm talking about Ruth Williams Simpson. I'm talking about Donald Quarry. Talking about Audrey Reed, Carol Cummins, Leighton Presley, Lilith Hodges, and a whole lot more. What was your emotions like when you went back now for another country and seeing that all your teammates from 1972 is back in the village?
you know, I can adapt very well, and when we can not be together for a long time, we see each other, we have that bond, you know, because once you're a Jamaican, and when you see and hear your team, you root for each other. I don't
Indeed.
understand why not.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. But were you able to celebrate openly, or you had to do it quietly? Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Let us say hi to some other people who are jumping on. Monica Lewis, good night. She says good night, HP, and others, good night. Dorothy Scott Genius is saying very technical high school. We are the champions. Yes, we are. Indeed, they are. Tana Lawrence Gale is funny. I just called her name and I did not even realize that she was there. But Tana Lawrence, who is also another outstanding Olympian for Jamaica, is here with us tonight. Hello, Tana. Welcome. Also, Marlene Green is also there. Good night. Good night to everyone. But yes, let us go back to you, Miss Yvonne. When you saw this team and when Mr. Quarry won that gold medal, how did you celebrate?
I was excited. I was ecstatic. And you know, I believe I sat with Jamaicans as well because I had not seen them. As a matter of fact, I was more welcomed by the athletes there. It was like no change. Yes, you're from another country, you represent Canada, but we're over here, you see. And it was wonderful. And we had a lot of Jamaicans on the Canadian team as well. So I think we're everywhere. And if
Listen,
you look at
Miss
what's
Miss
happening
Eva,
today,
Miss Yvonne, just not even to cut you, but just to piggyback on what you just said, you have so many Jamaicans competing for different countries. You have Jamaicans, and when I say Jamaicans, you have outstanding Jamaicans competing for the United States. Gabby Thomas, who won gold at the Olympic Games a few weeks ago, she came out and said, "Look, I am Jamaican, and I've always made it clear that I am a Jamaican." But she competed for the United States. England, Great Britain for many, many years had a lot of Jamaicans on their team. Even
still
the
do.
young man that won silver in the 400 meter, Hudson Smith, he too is Jamaican. Linford Christie. So Jamaicans are just, we are so many, and we're just out there, but I'm glad that our athletes were able to embrace you.
Yes, I cannot say they shunned me in any way. No.
Indeed,
And
indeed.
like you said, I endorse that. Jamaicans are everywhere in what? Czechoslovakia. They're everywhere. I can't
Everywhere.
remember. Merlene went there. I don't know for what reason, but it had to be a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that things have changed now when you think of Usain Bolt and Shelly Ann and all of that, those top athletes who are still at home and doing great things for the community. There would be more. There would be more. But I believe one of the weakness is, I hate to say it, but there are too many people on the what do you call them, administrative staff and the
Speak.
J3As. I don't know if I have the right to say it, but it's the
Say
truth
it. Speak it.
anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many of them were athletes, but the way things were done, when I look and read about what's happening with uh, Francis and Mills, people like that, they are treasure. They are valuable to the country. They should be treated with more respect. That's my perspective of all this.
And I
And
endorse it.
the bureaucracy, the big guys that are sitting behind desks and trying to make decisions without conferring with the people who know how, hands-on people, you know. I don't know why they're at the Olympics, to tell the truth. Too many of them. Too many of them are there that are not qualified. And it's not a show. It's not a show. It's a place where we go to perform, to represent your country. And I just believe, and I really have nothing to lose in saying this, but the coaches who have athletes representing the country, they should get more. They should get a lot more respect.
I totally agree with you, and that we agree 100%, and that is always my thing, that we have to. Sometimes I wonder if they realize that they're riding on the back of the athletes. So if you're riding on the back of the athletes, look after the athletes first so you can continue to ride on their backs. Because
Exactly.
if you take the athletes out of the equation, there's no need for a federation.
Exactly.
So, first and foremost, the most important asset, and I've always said this and I've said it on my show over and over, the most important asset of the J3 are the athletes.
Yes. Exactly.
I don't know.
And
Sometimes.
and just to I remember in 1972, I won't call names, but I guess this person was the physio or whatever he was, but it was a little chilly at one point, and he put some kind of ointment on my legs. And let me tell you, I was on fire. If there was a pool or something, I would have ran and jumped right into that pool. They put the wrong liniment, or I don't know what it was, but you don't do that. I was about to run, and this is what happened. And I was not the only one that happened to, apparently. So not qualified to do the job, and they're there.
Mm-hmm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
why?
Totally agree with you, and we have to get it right. We need, as a country, we need to get it right, and we can get it right. It is so easy to get it right. It is
Exactly.
so easy to get it right. But I'm going to move into a segment now that I like, and this is about your achievements, your accolades, what you've done for the country. Okay, first of all, you were an individual athlete and you were a pentathlon athlete. How you do that, I don't know. The long jump, the high jump, the 400 meters, the 800 meters, the relays. Oh my God. Secondly, you have competed internationally for three powerhouse countries,
Mhm.
three powerhouse track and field countries: England, Jamaica, and Canada. three powerhouse countries in the sport of track and field. Um, for England, as a junior, you competed in the high jump. You won the intermediate category at the English School Athletics Championships 1966 and 1967. You
Mhm.
also, in the under 17 high jump, you won the 1966 AAA or AAA Junior Championship, and also the high jump double 1968 at the same championship. 1971, we're now at Jamaica. You competed for Jamaica. 1971, you won double bronze in the 400 meters and the 4 by 400 meters at the Pan Am Games. If anywhere I'm not correct, just let me know. 1971, you also went to the CAC championship and you won bronze in the 400 meter and the golf. You won bronze in the 400 meters and the long jump, and you won gold with the 4 by 400 meter relay team. Of course, 1972, you were off to the big one, the Olympic Games for Jamaica. Now, for Canada, 1974, you won gold for Canada, 1974, and you won bronze in the 4 by 400 meter relays at the Commonwealth Games. 1976, you were off again to the big one, which was the Olympic Games again, and this time for Canada. You have a personal best of 51.67 in the 400 meters, which made you the national record holder for Canada. You also had a PB of 2 minutes and a little bit in the 800 meters. Personal best in the 4 by 400 meter relay of 3 minutes and 28.81, and a 6 meter personal best in the long jump. You were also inducted into the Athletics of Ontario Hall of Fame 2014. What a legacy, Miss Yvonne. You competed internationally for three powerhouse countries. What was it like competing at the in different cultures or for different cultures?
And let me squeeze one more thing in there. I held the
Yes.
world record, indoor world record for 500 meters for many years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
So I don't know. I am resilient. I can move from one thing to the next. I never really thought, well, England, this is where I'll always be, compete there. Canada, I just evolved into whatever was in front of me, whatever I had to do. I had to make changes to adapt to that and smoothly. Um, I know that the era that I ran in, it was difficult because of all kinds of issues, wars, and the 1980 Olympics we boycotted because of war. Government decided, after you've trained for 4 years to get to a certain level in fitness, they decided that no athletes from this particular country will be going to the Olympics. Like that is
Wow.
how Canada chose not to go in 1980, even though we made the trials, made the Olympic team, and all of a sudden, and this has happened throughout track and field, even in I think 1972 that happened as well, and I can't remember what other year because we used to get to the location and we didn't know if we were going to compete, even though we're on site because of the South Africa issues. So you're there waiting, and we had to wait to see, and then we'll hear, okay, well, South Africa is out, and we will breathe and say, well, thank God we're here, we can run. Government
Wow.
always use everything, every excuse. Well, government and this don't mix, but they will use us as guinea pigs or scapegoats or whatever you want to call us, to make their point.
Right, and you're right about that because with the Olympic Games, you can only compete if your country gives you the go ahead. So an individual from a country cannot compete at the Olympic Games if their country is not a member of the IOC. But going back to 1980, you did not get to compete. You would have gone to your third Olympic Games and you did not get to compete. How did you feel knowing that Jamaica was at that Olympic Games? Because that Olympic Games was actually the Olympic Games that the Jamaican women won their first medal with Merlin Ottey
Merlin.
Page,
Yeah.
right, at the
Yeah.
time.
I was absolutely excited for them. I really was. I thought, now that's what should be, you know. And so what Canada did with about 33 or so other countries, they had their alternative Olympics for all the countries that boycotted. And so we met in Philadelphia, and you know, I ran the 800 meters there and
Was
the
it the
relay.
same? Was it the same though for you? How did you feel about that?
Even though I won that, I always say, eh, it's a totally different atmosphere, you know.
Indeed,
The
indeed.
crowd was amazing and all that, but there's a difference when you're on a track and there's like 75,000 people in the stand, and you know, it's a totally different hype. The
Indeed.
adrenaline, the rush, everything is very, very different. But you know, we couldn't do anything. Today I respect what's happening because they have a category for all, what are they called, people who haven't got a country.
Yes, the fugitives.
Yeah,
No, not the fugitives, refugees, sorry.
refugees.
Refugees. Yes, refugees. Yeah.
So at least there's that. You work
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. And before we go any further, guys, welcome again. We see we have some new people coming in. Tiff M is there. Good night. She says, good night, everyone. Glad to watch this interview. Thank you very much for your support. Sash is there. Good night. Elise Mackenzie is there. Elise is saying 1976, she became a household name to our Jamaican family and many others in Canada. Indeed, indeed, Elise. Is that Javian or Xavian? Good night. He's encouraging everyone to subscribe and like the video. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Going back, man, this interview is eye-opening. It is sweet. I really like it, and this is what I like most about what I do, talking to my athletes and hearing them sharing their authentic story. Miss Yvonne, during the time you were competing for other countries, which Jamaican athlete that you would line up with that would make you nervous?
When I'm competing against them, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
None?
400. I can't think because I believe in the 400 I was the fastest before. Marilyn Newfield was the, you know, she broke the ice. She just one day just before 1972 Olympics, she broke the world record. She went under 52 seconds. I mean, smashed it. She did, I think, 51 or something. But during, we were on the same team. Although she was British, she was Jamaican. She represented
Oh
Jamaica.
yes,
But she got,
another Jamaican.
exactly, she got injured and could not compete in the 400 in Munich. And I really haven't heard much about her except for the.
I'm trying to find her.
I think she's in California. I'm not. You know, I'm not really close
Okay.
to her as such,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe she was in California.
So no Jamaican made you nervous. Jackie Pusey didn't make you nervous. Ruth did not make you nervous.
No, because we were, you know, we were together.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you lay everything down. It's just like having your brother compete with you, okay? It's like,
Indeed.
you know, I'm going to win, you know, or they'll say they're going to win, but after the race, it's like back to normal.
Indeed, indeed. You moved to Canada in the early 70s. I think it was 1970.
68.
68. Okay. You experienced racism firsthand. You were called racist names in the city that you would have lived and the country that you were thinking to compete for. But tell me a little bit about racism in Canada. I know that you experienced it in England, but how different was it in Canada?
Uh, Let me see how I put it. In England, you knew who they were because people were really naive back then. Canada, it was hidden. And you wouldn't hear it probably in the workforce. You wouldn't hear people say things, but you would know what they mean. The message is clear in body language and the way you don't get to move up. That was back in the day. I left there over 30 years ago, so I don't know. But I know I would be running, jogging on the street, and I remember so clearly this car opened, the guy opened the window and go, nigga, I hope you break your blank black leg. Okay. And all I told myself is, I know where I'm going. I hope you know where you're going. So I
Indeed.
had my plans. I knew what my goals were. I knew what I wanted to do. And so that did not faze me because I know who I am. And our parents raised us to be respectful and strong.
Wow. Wow. I read something while I was doing your research. Of course, I did a lot of reading and I saw something that says white parents would approach you and ask you to let their daughters defeat you in races. Tell me a little bit about that. How did that? Who think of those things? Tell me a little bit about that.
I was happy about that because it's like, really, she will eat my dust. So this thing, not no amount of money in the world would ever let me sacrifice my talent, my gift, my hard work to just have somebody win. Are you kidding me? No.
What was your reaction though
I
when
really was in shock. And then I walked away. I mean, who does that? And also there was another race where I was running the 800 then, and before you run, the referees would tell you, or the people at the
the
lane
officials, yeah. Hmm.
officials would tell you where to break when
Hmm.
you're doing the 200, because 400 you're in your lane.
Yes.
And one official took me aside and told me where to break. And that was the wrong place. I was disqualified.
Oh my word. You're
I
kidding,
was
right?
I was disqualified. I wish I was. Yep. So yeah, but you have to
Wow.
overcome these things. If I had sat and said, well, because I'm black, or it's not fair. If I remember, I went to a training camp when I had just gotten went to England, Canada, and I was a high jumper then, and I was jumping and practicing training, and you have to qualify to go to that camp. And I remember the instructor told me, you're never going to make it in high jump. I think I was doing 5 feet 4 back then. You won't go far. And I said, bring it on. The following year, I jumped 5 feet 8 inches. I can't remember what that is in centimeters, but for my height at the time and for the style that I used a straddle, not what they're doing today.
Hmm.
That was
Hmm.
very difficult. So with me, just tell me that I can't do it because I will prove you wrong.
So, with all this fight and the racism and all of that, how were you still motivated to compete for Canada?
Well, when you look at the whole picture, Canada is Canada. And that is why, unfortunately, for a country that size, the athletes that they have there, they're not getting supported. I got like $3,000 from a company. I'm not even saying who they were. And that was it. And it was like I really should spread their names around more, make them feel good. And I'm not ungrateful, but I cannot be bought for $3,000. So
Wow.
in that regards, and even to this day, the athletes, they all move to the US. And I was offered a scholarship to go to the US after I got married and had Akila. My husband, he was my assistant coach because we had moved away from, my original coach. And I received a scholarship to go, but my greatest asset, the greatest thing that I have is my family. And I was not really willing to pack up and leave to go to the US. Of course, I would have been, a lot better and, I'd be taken care of. But my family is my gold medal.
Wow.
Everything revolves around them. Nothing else is more important to me than them. And
Wow.
so, yeah, my daughter never saw, and I'm not knocking mothers who stay at home at all. But this was me. I put everything in them. I will do everything for my children. I raised, Akila was like 16, I think, before I never left her. She used to travel if I traveled to different countries, she would be there with me. And until I resigned, I did come back briefly, after I had, I think I had my son. I didn't have my son, I had Akila. And then after I had my son, I said, okay, that's it.
Akila is showing you some love on the live. Hey, Akila, you have a great mom. You are blessed. You have a great mom. Yvonne, like many athletes, you battled injuries yourself. You were set back for almost 2 years, which started in 1975 with back injuries that caused by a ruptured or slip disc, and then knee injuries with the Olympic Games that was coming up in 1976. How did the injuries hamper or set back your preparation?
Oh, that was major. I think I had less than 6 months, I think, to prepare for the 76 Olympics. And I still wasn't 100%, but I went, but it was difficult because you spend 4 years and then with me, it was one injury after another. It was difficult, but perseverance, perseverance, and knowing when you want to do something, the willpower will make you do a lot. And
Indeed,
so
indeed.
I just grew from that.
Indeed, in 1976, the 1976 Olympic Games, of course, we talked about it earlier, where Jamaica hit it big, with Mr. Donald Corey winning that gold medal in the 200 meters from lane, I think it was lane two he was in, or lane one. And then, he won a silver medal in the 100 meters. I mean, you being there as a Jamaican, and did you have any regrets in switching allegiance?
It was always there, it was always there, but once I make my mind up, that's it. You do feel that kind of lost, and really and truly, it was all about what am I going to do for me? because they weren't doing anything, unfortunately. And so the choice that I made, I had to live with it. But at the same time, we were all in it together. We were all in it together, Jamaicans, and then I was with the Canadian team. And, I really don't have any regrets. I don't believe, looking back, because every step that I take brings me to something else. So, a lot of things could have happened, but it didn't. Not for bad
Beautiful.
anyway.
Beautiful, beautiful. You had your own situations with the J3 that would have maybe caused you to switch your allegiance. Tell me a little bit about that situation. You don't have to go in depth, but just share a little bit with us.
Well, the main thing is, I think I may mention it earlier, but when you're running for another country and you live in this country that that is supporting you, there was no support because I'm Jamaican running for Jamaica. It's not like I'm Jamaican and I am competing for Canada. So they would, and their support was minimal in Canada itself. But at least Jamaica should have acknowledged me. And it's the bureaucracy, you see, and it's their loss actually, because that
Indeed.
Commonwealth medal would have been,
A Jamaican gold medal. That would have been a part of our legacy.
it would have been, but and they know that they did that. I mean, you go there and you're called foreign based. That is an insult. But I did not dwell in the past. I moved on because there were other opportunities.
Indeed. Indeed, indeed. When did you know it was time to retire professionally from the sport?
That's a good question. There were more than one things that led me to that. When I won the Commonwealth Games, that was huge. And I stepped on the podium and I thought I would feel like I have arrived. I won the gold medal. And I just kind of thought, well, is this what it is? That's how I felt. And I kept that feeling inside for a long time. I thought, well, it's not that great. I mean, I didn't do that great. There's something else missing. And I kept training. I got married in 1976, straight after Montreal. And we had Aquila. My husband, as I said, Roy, was my assistant coach because we were away. We kept, I was preparing for 1980, and which I did. I made the team. But during that time, I just felt something was missing in my life because now all of a sudden I'm hearing that athletes can get paid for running and we're no longer, you don't have to be
Amateurs.
an amateur. Yes. And so I remember my last indoor meet, I think was I can't remember if it was after 1980 this started to happen. And I came back, ran the indoors, and I got $300 to run in a race indoors. That was it. I didn't know about a manager. I didn't know about this team, or that I could have a team of people marketing me, so to speak. I had no idea. But the thing that got me, HP, is I looked at track differently, because all of a sudden it was so new. And it was like, if your athlete wasn't at that caliber, then they can't get paid and all that kind of nonsense. And I kind of took a step back. I also knew drugs started to be introduced into the sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not like that. As you know, the scandal in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. And so I don't know. I just said there's got to be more to life than this. And without preaching, I decided that there's a lot more. And so that is when I decided to resign, because I said, I found something a lot better. And that is when I became a Christian, not the born again that everybody have. And I have been in this thing for over 40 years. My life just totally changed. And that is why I hold on. I have so much hope and so much to give. I love to give back. I love to serve my family and to do things and to help people. This is where I find joy and satisfaction.
Amen. I love that. I love that. Before we go to my next question, Edina Steele, who is also another outstanding Jamaican athlete, of course, a quarter miler like yourself, he's asking a question. He said, how was it running in Christchurch?
It was amazing. It was. It was a really, really I was prepared. And once again, I was there with Audrey. I was just, that's my BFF. Regardless of who we were, what teams we were on, we were
I
together.
hope Audrey is watching. Audrey Reed, if you're watching, good night.
She's
Indeed,
probably
indeed.
quiet in the background there.
Audrey, if you're there, good night to another Olympian. Yvonne, you retired from the sport 1982. How difficult was it for you? How difficult or easy was it for you to adapt to a normal 9 to 5 life?
I know it was a switch. There was a kind of emptiness, but like when I make my mind up with something, it was the right time. It
Mhm.
was surely the right time to do it. And I just stopped cold turkey.
Wow.
Hmm.
I've heard that before. When you look back at your track and field career and everything that you have accomplished, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, I worked hard. I worked hard to achieve what I did, and I thought that was a good time. Akila was, getting to be at the point where I needed to spend more time with her, and because that's how I am. And it was just a pleasure. It was one of those things that it's time. I was 15 years old when I really started at the international scene, and it was a good run. It was a good run.
Awesome, awesome. You competed internationally for three, as I said before earlier, three of track and field powerhouse countries. I'm going to put you on the spot now. Which of them brought you more joy?
Oh, that's hard to say because
I
they're
know.
three different cultures. Um, Jamaica was short-lived. It was 2 years, but just to be, after leaving home when you're little, you don't forget things like food and to chat patois and just be yourself and just the liveliness of the whole thing. It was a joy. There was no pretense because they will tell you we talk to each other, just the freedom to communicate and to laugh and to just be light, even in a situation, like going to the track meet. Everything is set aside, you're focusing now. But I believe, and I still do, when I that like the church I go to in Florida, when I'm there, it's the same thing. It's just a different culture. And you don't have to feel self-conscious. And you don't have to keep apologizing because there's misunderstanding or whatever.
Mm-hmm,
We just
mm-hmm.
let it go, and that is what I love.
When you look back, what was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome?
Oh, wow. Biggest challenge.
Our biggest challenges.
I don't know.
Sounds like it was smooth sailing.
No. Just I think there were times when you reach a certain level, you you don't have time to slack off and be normal
Yeah.
because more is required. If you want to maintain what you have accomplished, you have to put more work into it. And that was my biggest challenge because there were times I did not want to train. One of the worst things I hated was lifting weights because of vanity. I did not want to be bulky and all that. And so I cheated. I cheated in my weight training at times. And so, but without that, it's hard to move to the next level because the
Yes.
more load you have on you, the better it is in many ways. But I didn't want that at the time. And I thought to myself, if I came back again, I just feel like I would be okay. I could do something. But no, I'm finished. I wouldn't even go in a seniors event.
I heard that the 400-meter training is tough. I've heard Usain Bolt say it, and I've heard a lot of athletes saying the 400-meter training is tough. Is it? Is it
It is
hard?
it is tough. It is tough. And I can only imagine what the 400 hurdles is like.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing
Wow.
is, the older you get, you want to go into something. And the 800 is tough as well. It's now becoming like a
A
sprint,
sprint.
But even though I look back and I say, well, my times today, when then both 200 and 400, sorry, and the 800, it wasn't bad. I could have found a place somewhere, when you consider all the equipment and the type
Mm-hmm.
of track and shoes,
And
y-
shoes.
everything is tailored for that. But that's just the way it is. I'm sure Jesse Owens, if he
Mm-hmm.
had what is we have today,
Yeah.
he'd leave like a blaze of fire behind him, when he's running. He'd be that fast if he had that. I used to run in 1-inch spike on a dirt track.
Dirt.
Dirt, there is such a thing. Yes, we call it cinder. As a matter of fact, my first track race, I ran barefoot in England.
Wow.
We had dirt. That was what it was.
Is that like a clay? Is like a that
It's
like a
it's
clay?
it's it's like a hard fine sand, but it's actual dirt.
It's dirt.
Hmm.
Wow. And look
Yeah.
look at us now. Look at the tracks that we have now. Amazing. Amazing. The
I know.
sport has evolved. Everything has evolved.
And
Amazing.
and rightly so. Rightly so. I have no problems with that, but it's just good. That's why I like what you're doing, HP, because it's so good for the now generation to at least have something to look at. They're probably going, "Mina run like that? How them do it?" You know, and to be thankful.
Indeed.
And one thing I have observed is that there isn't that team spirit. Everybody have their own little business around,
Yeah.
and yeah, you come together for a relay. But one thing I would not trade for anything is that camaraderie, that spirit of we're in this together as a team. No matter if you're a high jumper or you're a shot putter, we're all on a team.
You're
And
giving me chills because
I
that is what I like to see. That is what I would love to see more of that. Because when I talk to Olympians, especially from the 60s and the 70s, and all of you guys are saying the same thing. It was about team, team. You guys look after each other, children. You guys look after each other. You
Mhm.
share whatever little you had with each other. It is just an awesome
Yep,
story,
yep,
awesome journey.
yep. Well, we learned there was no I in team, so
Mm-hmm.
I guess you know it's that's and it's not just Jamaica, it's global. Everybody is doing their own
Their
thing,
own thing.
and if you're representing your country, everyone is representing your country. You have to be a team. You
I
can you
am
can
with
you
that.
can excel individually, but there is no greater glory than winning a medal and everyone comes and they celebrate with you genuinely.
You know, it's funny that you said that, and I'm going to call Tana Lawrence's name again. I remember when I did her interview, she said when they had practice, when the relay team had practice, they would practice together. And then when they're finished, they would wait on Veronica to finish her training because she had the 200 meters to run. And they would stay and support Veronica, who won that gold medal 2004.
Hmm. Hmm.
So as you are saying, it is about team support, even though you're competing individually and it seems as if you're competing against each other. But at the end of the day, that team support and love and synergy all adds up. It all adds to the flavor of the team.
Absolutely, absolutely.
When
So
you look at Jamaica when you look at the track and field industry, and that Jamaica, a small country with just less than 3 million people, and we are number two in track and field, how do you feel knowing that you've added to that legacy and you are a Jamaican? Just express to me how you feel about that achievement for such a small country going up against countries with over 300 million people.
I feel proud. I feel, as a matter of fact, I can't remember when I was talking to someone. I said, if all the Jamaicans who are in track and field got together, we could probably run against the world and maybe split them because there's so many amazing Jamaicans. So many. I
Mm-hmm,
don't know
mm-hmm,
what it is.
mm-hmm.
I don't know. And it's not just track and field, the hockey team. What's Jamaica doing with a bobsled team and a hockey team? And we're so tiny. We're a dot on the map. And then to be compared with the US, like, watch out for those Jamaicans. Like, you've got how many million
Yes.
people, and you're
Yeah.
worried about a little dot of people,
Yes.
and and
Yeah.
and that's who you're. It's like Goliath and David and Goliath kind of thing. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? I'm going, really? And I feel proud.
Indeed. Yeah.
I feel proud about that.
Yeah, indeed. And
Yeah.
that was why I started this platform for you guys. I started this platform for the athletes to come and tell their story, talk about their journey in the sport and all of that. And you're right. People, even with the Olympic Games that just concluded, I mean, every other country was just talking about Jamaica, their biggest problem, especially in the track and field segment of the Olympic Games, was those Jamaicans. They just keep talking about the Jamaicans, and it is always about those Jamaicans. And it's not just now, because if you look back at 1948 with the likes of Mr. Herb McKinley, George Roden, Miss Cynthia Thompson,
Arthur
Carmen
Wint.
Phipps, Arthur Wint, and Les Ling. It was Jamaica versus the United States in the 400-meter, where Jamaica ran a quinella, relegating the United States to third. They came back 4 years and gave them the same medicine, and they did it in the same relay. So it's been going on for a long,
Years.
long time.
Yep.
Jamaica versus the United States, or versus the world.
The world. The world. It's like, watch out for those Jamaicans. Like, okay, you
And
should feel good.
when it is not our sports, it is our music or the food or the vibe.
Well, I can tell you, I have friends in Malaysia And really, I don't know if they're on right now, but when I went, to Malaysia, my husband used to work there. And so I'd spend 3 months there, and you would see humongous billboard like you've never seen anywhere else of Usain Bolt all over Singapore, Thailand. It was just amazing. I don't see that here in America or Canada, you
Not even
know.
in Jamaica. You don't see it a lot in Jamaica either. You
Well, I
don't.
look at the economy, but no, you'd see humongous billboards, bigger than, I've ever seen. And
And
then
funny.
they ask, where are you from? Jamaica. Ah, Bob Marley, Usain Bolt.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Once people discover that you are from Jamaica, they have a Jamaican story to tell.
Yes, they do.
They either have a Jamaican friend or a Jamaican college teammate or something. Once I live in America now, and I work at a high school, and the minute they discovered that I was from Jamaica, they started talking about Bob Marley. They started talking about Usain Bolt. And the first thing they asked me is if I can cook oxtail and curry goat. I kid you not. I kid you not. We are just, let me tell you, Jamaica is a brand.
Yes, that
Jamaica is a brand.
exactly.
Jamaica
And
is a brand.
yeah.
But I'm at a section now where I'm just going to ask you some random questions. Which parish should claim you as their Olympian? Which Jamaican parish? I know that you mentioned Clarendon and you mentioned somewhere else. Which parish in Jamaica should claim you as their
I'm
Olympian?
I'm country girl.
Country girl. I
Country
love that.
girl. I lived in Kingston with an aunt for years, but I am country.
Clarendon Street.
Clarendon. That
Clarendon
is it.
Street. Before we
Mm-hmm.
go any further, Miss Yvonne, just want to say welcome again to each and everyone who are here with us. And of course, Akila is saying absolutely HP. I love that you are using your platform to share these stories. Thank you very much, Achilles. Thank you very much. That is the idea. Nakisha, thank you for being here. I see you, girl. I see you. Carol Saunders is also here. So proud of your athletic achievement, cause nice to see you. Marlene Green is saying, great achievement, Miss Yvonne. And of course, she's asking people to like, share, and she too is also saying out of Clarendon. So, guys, Clarendon, another Clarendonian Olympian in the building. My next question is, if one country should claim you, Miss Yvonne, as their Olympian, which country should claim you? I'm putting you on the spot, I know. If one country should claim you as their Olympian, which country would you want to claim you? Jamaica or Canada?
Well, without trying to be a traitor, I did perform the best in the 1972 Olympics for Jamaica.
Jamaica?
I would, because when I love Canada. Canada has paved the way for me. They've done amazing things for me, okay? But they should be further ahead. They have like Andre DeGrasse and all that. Where do you think they all live? In the
America.
United States, which is unfortunate, and that will keep going. I had a coach, he has passed now, bless his heart, Peter Manning. He was my main coach. But he and his family, they took me in as their own. But there is still a thing when it's your birth country. There's just that thing. I was born there, and if I have to make a choice, I have to do that for, I have to say Jamaican.
One Jamaica.
I have to. I have
One
to.
Jamaica. Was there any significant sports person that inspired you during the time when you were aspiring to become the track star that you have become? Who was your role model at that time?
Would you believe in 1966, the Commonwealth Games, British Commonwealth Games, it was called, in Jamaica?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at Kip Keino, and I know you're younger, but
That's a Kenyan, right?
yes,
The
and
name, just the
he
name told me that it's Canada, but I
he
don't know.
ran I can't remember the events, but they were long, 5,000 or 10,000, two races, and he got two goals. He All of a sudden, I remember I was in England and I'm watching with my dad, and I saw that. I could not believe Black people could run that distance, because that's another thing in the sports back in the day. That would be like, well, Black people, I remember taking an anatomy class, and the teacher said, well, Black people are, because of how their heel is and the tendon that's attached to the heel, they run faster. I can't remember if he said it's broader or whatever, so they don't do well in distance. I remember that clearly. And when I saw Kip Keino and breaking all the records, I thought, wow, I can do that too. I can run. I never did do the 5,000 and all that, but that inspired me.
Awesome. 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 You are a quarter miler. You're a middle distance runner. Which leg of the 4x400 meter relay is your favorite? Which leg do you prefer to do? The
I
first, the
have
second?
only ran the anchor leg, which is not always the smartest thing. You don't necessarily have to put your fastest runner in the anchor. And I believe that's where we made some errors in that, because sometimes it's so far, you're so left so far behind. It's like, I'll meet you all at the finish line, wait for me. You're running your heart out. If there were different orders, it might, you might have a better outcome.
Indeed, indeed. Your fastest, and I've been saying this, forever. Your fastest doesn't have to go on the anchor of your relay.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to. Tell me about your favorite. Which was your favorite moment competing for England as a junior?
In England, I think the English schools, that's one. And then we came, I can't remember, 17 or 16, maybe 17, came to Canada from England to compete in a tri-country meet. And that's when I realized, wow, I was a high jumper then, and I I was doing okay. I was beating other people that were taller than me in that, So it was England, Canada, and I don't remember who the other country was, but it was a tri-country meet. And,
Okay.
just to expose us to the outside, to get out of the UK was huge. And I think that was the beginning of, this is okay. I
Great
like this.
things.
Mhm,
Beginning
mhm.
of great
And
things.
interestingly, my dad had migrated to Canada the same year, 1967, that I came for that meet.
Wow.
Yeah, because he came ahead, and then he paved the way for us. Um,
Interesting. Your favorite moment competing for Canada?
I think in the 500-meter event, indoors
Indoors.
and outdoors, when I was in Warsaw, in Poland. I think, broken a record then. It
Mm-hmm.
was one of the faster 800 meters. I think those two.
Your favorite moment competing for Jamaica?
Oh, well.
That one is easy.
The Olympics, definitely 1972. It was bittersweet, but it was the opening. It opened my eyes to what I could accomplish.
What is your favorite Olympic moment for Jamaica?
Oh my gosh,
I know that we have a,
You
and
say,
you said both.
and
Yeah.
Shelly Ann Fraser, 2008. Is it
Eight. Yeah.
2008?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we got so spoiled. And
Yeah.
just to say, I was really upset at the way Jamaicans reacted to these young ladies who did not compete. Sharika,
Mm-hmm.
Shelly-Ann, and
Mm-hmm.
the way they're cutting them like they're race horses, and they ought to run when we want them to run. They have no rights. They belong to us. The work that is put in, the sacrifice on your body alone, your mind, it is tremendous. And to put that on them and say, just, and I'm sure half the people who commented have no idea what it takes to get to that level. There are thousands of Olympians and a handful of medal winners in the Olympic Games. And
True.
Jamaica keeps getting medal every year. Spoil the country and let people think nobody else is good, only Jamaica.
Yes, yeah, we tend to think that nobody else is training for that gold medal or that silver medal or that bronze medal. And I keep saying to people, look, you have 200 plus countries in the world. Everybody is coming for the same thing. And the thing is that there's so much that you can get out of a championship when you go to the Olympic Games. Just competing there alone is a big deal. Making the final is another big deal. Running a personal best or a national record,
Yep.
winning a medal. There are so many things, but of course, we only see many only see the gold medal and nothing else. And if you cannot produce that, then we don't care much for
Yep.
the result. When you look back at your legacy overall, how do you feel?
Well, it took me a long time to even think that I accomplished something, to tell the truth. It's when I was maybe 30 years ago, I realized, people will say, wow, you were in the Olympics. And I go, yeah. But after hearing that over and over again, I realized, well, I guess I did accomplish something.
You
And
accomplished a lot.
yeah, yeah. And it really gave me a new perspective. I looked within. I know I have a purpose. I know I have confidence. There are just some things that I would not have had I not gone through that journey. And so I'm satisfied. There's always more to accomplish, yes, but with that part of my life,
Mhm.
I'm happy about.
Okay, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit now. This is almost wrapping up time, but
Ooh,
I want you to name me some of your Jamaican teammates on the 1972 at the 1972 Olympic Games.
Jamaican females?
No, all, but men and women, some of
Oh,
your teammates who were on that 1972
well,
teams.
we talked about Ruth.
Yes, there's
Rosie
Ruth.
Allwood,
Right, there's
Debbie
Rosie.
Byfield,
Right, there's Debbie.
Andrea Lynch,
Right,
of
there's
course,
Andrea.
Audrey, Lennox, Billy Miller.
Do I have Lennox
Was it
Miller?
he?
Yes, you are right. Yes,
And of
Lennox
course,
Miller was.
DQ,
Yes,
um,
Donald Quarry was there.
Carl Laxley.
Lexley, I don't have that name, but you could be.
Carl, yeah, Carl. Is his first name Carl? Carl Laxley. Um,
You could be right, but I don't have that name. I don't think I captured all the names, but I have quite a few. All right, keep going.
Neville Myton,
Never mind, I have that.
Chase, Case. I forget his last name.
Case.
No, that's his last name.
Okay, I don't have a case, but you could be right
Yeah,
also.
he was there.
Okay, who else do you have?
Oh my word, Vilma.
Yes, Miss Vilma Charlton was there.
Was
You're doing
Yuma
well, man.
was
You're doing
Yuma there?
Una Morris.
Yeah,
Yes, you are
Yuna,
doing well. Yeah, Una was there
Carol
also.
Cummings.
Carol Cummins was there also.
Hmm,
You're doing well, man.
hmm.
Yeah, there are some more. There is Trevor T.C. Campbell. I don't know if you remember that name.
TC.
Yeah, T.C. Campbell.
Neville
There was
Martin. No,
Neville.
no,
Yeah.
no.
No, not
Byron,
mine.
Byron, Byron.
Do I
He
have
ran
Byron?
he ran the
You
800.
you could be right, but he's not on my list because I didn't note everybody. I note quite a few. There was a Alfred Daly.
Alfred Daly, yes.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady, a girl from Beverly whatever. She ran the ladies women's 800.
Okay.
She lived in the UK, of course, Marilyn Nerfil,
Yes. There was also Andrea Bruce.
Andrea Bruce.
Yes, there was Andrea Bruce. And you said, did you say Audrey Reed?
Oh yeah,
Yes, there was Audrey. Oh, yes, Audrey is your BFF. There was also Godfrey Murray. I don't know if you
Godfrey
remember that
Murray.
name. Kim Rowe.
I don't
There was
remember Kim. Oh yeah, I can picture. I know. Yeah, I can picture
yeah,
his
there
face
was
actually.
yeah, Kim Rowe is a male, yeah. There was Horace Levy.
Yes.
You did say Rosie. There was Richard
Wait,
Hardware.
also Lilith Hodges.
That's the name I was waiting to hear because I
Mm,
also have Lilith. Yes, Lilith Hodges,
yeah.
formerly of St. Mary High School, St. Mary and St. Mary High School. Outstanding, outstanding for St. Mary High School. Lilith was also on that team. Leighton Priestley was also on that team. Michael Frey was also on
Mm-hmm.
that team. But you did well. You did well. Ruth is saying Beverly Panton.
Oh, it's
Be-
Beverly. That's her. How did she
Beverly
remember her
Pan.
last name? She ran the 800.
Yeah, Ruth is good like that. She remember a lot of the her
Yeah.
teammates from and she has been to 3 Olympic Games. Yes, she said Beverly Panton. But you did well. You did good. You did good. You did good because you
Good.
remember a lot of the name. Andrea Bruce.
Yeah, I said
Yeah, Andrea Bruce.
no, I
I
said
think
Andrea Lynch at first. I meant Bruce. Andrea Bruce was a high jumper.
yes, I was just
Yeah.
going to say that she got to the final. She actually got to the final of the high jump 1972. What a legacy, what a legacy. But you did well in remembering your teammates because this was like almost what over 50
Long
years ago.
time ago. Long
Yeah, a long
time
time.
ago. I know.
Long time ago, but you
Yeah.
did well. You did well. So, Olympian Ivan, is there anything that you would love to share with us that I did not touch on that you just want to share with us a little bit before we close?
Well, not about me, but I am truly grateful for what you're doing because, at first I heard it's like, hey, well, things have changed, nobody cares, and what have you. However, um, I believe what you're doing, I, I, I don't know anyone else who's doing that.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, uh, you've taken me out of my comfort zone. I prefer to just go in the background and, let other people do and so forth. But if you have a daughter like Akila, you can't do that. And my son, no, they're not going to let me do that. So I had to just show up, and
Thank
I'm
you. Thank
thankful
you
for
for
them.
showing up.
I
Thank you
am
for
so
showing up.
thankful for what you're doing, and I just hope and pray for better things for you. That this will be like a springboard into higher and better things. And
Thank you.
I really admire you taking the step in doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It is all about you guys. When I came up with the idea, it was actually during the pandemic And I had a chat with Aileen Bailey, and I said I want to do this, and she said, do it, you should do it. So it is about highlighting you guys, the athletes who have done it, and just my way of saying thank you for what you have done for our country in this great sport that we come to love and think. So thank you very much. And with that said, before we wrap up, I normally give my guest an opportunity to ask me one question. So I'm giving you an opportunity to, you're now the interviewer and I'm the interviewee. So you can ask me one question. And while you think about your question, just to say again, welcome to everyone who have joined us. Miguel Foster is saying, good night, HP and Miss Yvonne. Love you guys. Miguel is also saying, I am 27 and always doing my research on old athletes. Love what you are doing, HP. Thank you very much, Miguel. Thank you so much. Keisha Richards is also here. Hey, Keisha, good evening to Keisha. Keisha is one of my childhood friend from Sunday school. We went to the same church together, and we grew up together and stuff. So welcome, Keisha. Thank you for being here. And Akila is still here. Akila, it is your bedtime. Akila is saying, good job, mommy and HP. Thank you so much, Akila. Thank you for sharing your mother with us. And also thank you for helping to put Jamaica on the map and adding to our legacy in track and field that we continue to build. So now we are going to Mommy with her one question.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to pursue track further? Or, where you stopped off, were you satisfied with that? Or do you think you could have gone further had you the opportunity?
That is a good question. And I'm going to get a little emotional when I answer this question because I got a track and field scholarship when I was a child, when I was at primary school. And actually, I got the scholarship to St. Jago High School. And I went to St. Jago. I toured the facility and everything. And I was happy to go to St. Jago. But of course, I did not have a mother when I was growing up. My mother gave my sister and I to my father. So my father raised us from we were babies. So his thing was he's not going to send me because at that time I lived in Stirling Castle in Upper St. Andrew. And he said, how am I going to get to school every morning from Red Hills to Spanish Town to school? And when the coach explained to him that I will be bored, he said no, he's not sending his daughter to board. Of course, this was in the 80s. And I did not take up that scholarship. And that was the end of my track and field career because I had done well at the primary level. I represented the St. Andrew Parish in the sprints, of course, and I was selected. 5 of us were selected from my school to represent St. Andrew Parish, and I represented, and I was recruited by the coaches from St. Jago. And my father said no. And as a little girl, there's nothing I could have done about it. So
Right.
that was it. But the second part of your question, every day, even now, I wonder if I could have been an Olympian. I've thought about it, and I said, I'm wondering if I had gone to St. Jago and further developed my talent, would I become what you have become? So I
Right.
do think about it, but I don't focus on it. And that
Right.
is why I love the sport so much, because the first time I really started listening to or take interest in track and field was I heard two names. The name Merlene Otti Page and Jackie Pusey. I keep
Mhm.
hearing those names as a little girl, and I was like, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. But of course, in the 80s, when you're only raised by your dad, he's not going to. So that was what happened. But yes, I do thought about what I could have been as an athlete, but I'll never know.
Well, what you're doing now is so important. It really is. And I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. And as I said before, it is all about the athletes. It is all for you guys. This is my way of showing the world and Jamaica who you guys are, because a lot of Jamaicans don't know who the pioneers are. A lot of people, you ask them about the athletes, they can talk about Usain Bolt, they can talk about Shelley and Fraser Price, they can talk about Merlene, they can talk about Veronica Campbell Brown and others, but the real deal was the people who started it without being paid. The pride of country, the joy in competing for Jamaica without being paid, without the proper resources, without support.
Mhm.
So it is all about you guys. And just to go back to the comments a little bit, Miguel Foster is saying, may I have your real name? Okay, Miguel wants my real name. HP is my initials. My right name is Heather Phillips, hence HP. Mark Saunders is saying, this was wonderful. Thank you, HP. Is Mark your son?
Mark is
Is your
my
nephew?
Mark is my brother.
Oh, your
He
brother.
was the first police chief of Ontario, of Toronto.
Wow. Welcome, Mark. Welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of the show. And thank you for sharing your sister with us. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Vivian, is that Vivian Knight is saying, bravo, Yvonne. Saunders proud. Wow. I love how your people turn out tonight.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you all for being here. Patricia Hall is saying, rest in peace, Mr. Neville Mighton. Yes, one of the
Yes,
greats.
yes.
One of the greats, one of the greats. Of course, we will get to hear Patricia Hall's story in another few weeks. Another athlete, another of Jamaica's outstanding athlete and very technical high
Wonderful.
school standout. But it was good being here. Thank you all for being here. And Miss Yvonne, it was wonderful, wonderful hearing your story.
Thank you.
And I need you to call out Miss Audrey for me. I called her, but you know, but yes, just spread the love. I just want people to come and feel free to share their story with us, and for us to know who they are. And next week I am also going to have another Jamaican Olympian from the 1972 Olympic
Oh,
Games, and
wow.
her name, I will not tell you her name, but
Oh,
guys, you have to turn up for this one next week also. And next week is going to be just as much fun as it is tonight, because my guest next week is also the mother of a very famous sprinter. I'm not going to tell you which athlete it is. She is the mother of a very outstanding sprinter herself. So next week, 1972 Olympian again. And of course, she is the mother of an outstanding sprinter who did not compete for Jamaica. The mother competed for Jamaica, but her daughter competed for another country. So you have to be here next week again to hear that story. And Miss Yvonne, it was a pleasure. It was, you have no idea your story, hearing your story, and you've gone through it, and you went through it, and you rose above racism, racism more than anything else, and you came out a champion indeed, a Jamaican track and field gem, a Jamaican Olympian, everything Jamaican, and of course Clarendonian. She is from
that's right.
Clarendon. She is a Clarendon Olympian. So thank you very much. Of course, the comments keep coming. Let's read a few more. Miguel Foster is saying, you are doing a fantastic job, Miss Heather. Why is Miguel going to call me Heather now? But thank you. Thank you very much, Miguel. he said that I'm doing an fantastic job.
Yes.
Cause he's saying, even I thought I search online all the time for the past athletes. There is still a lot that I don't know. And you are right, Miguel. There are so many of our athletes out there that we don't know anything about, and I want to bring them to you guys. So thank you very much. Miguel is also saying, even Miss Yvonne, I only know her because of you. Great job you are doing. So Ruth is saying, Ruth Williams Simpson, who was also your teammate, she's saying, Carl Lawson is the name you missed. Great interview.
I was getting mixed up with Laxley. Carl Lawson.
Yes, Carl Lawson. There you go. Thank you very much. You see why I love my audience? They know their stuff. Thank you very much, Auntie Ruth, which I call her. Vivian It is saying this is an important series. Thank you, HP. Thank you guys too. Patricia Hall is saying, would love to hear from more of the legends who have paved the way for Jamaica's track and field. Miss Yvonne, you are amazing. Again, thank you. Wow. Awesome. Excellent interview. Vivian Collins is saying, excellent interview both ways. Very informative. God bless you both. Thank you very much. Miguel is also saying, just love Miss Yvonne and her personality. Yay. Indeed. And guys, let me tell you something. Miss Yvonne was a little shy, but she was a little shy and nervous, but I told her that don't worry, we will be okay. We will flow nicely. And she adapted very well. Miss Yvonne, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, guys. And as I said before, next week we will do it all over again with another Olympian from 1972 and also the mother of an outstanding athlete. All of that will be revealed next week. Thank you very much. Remember to subscribe and share so that other people can be aware of what we're trying to do here. Miss Yvonne, thank you very much and God bless you.
God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're running it all the way, we're in the lead. We're running it, finish line is all I see. Get up on, no, don't stop. Future bright, the vibes nice, oh gosh. No time for slow down, just sprint, can't lapse. We walk the talk, just ask me both tracks. So come through, let's talk about it, what you say? Your girl HP is on her mark, so get set ready.
On your mark, set, go.
Oh yeah, make we chat about it. What the fastest? Make we chat about it. Or on left, make we chat about it. Check and feel at the topic. Oh, make we chat about it. Latest news, make we chat about it. All your views, make we chat about it.
Check and feel, chat for set. With the girl HP.